Hi, this is Derek Tsai from LearnByBlogging.com. I have a book review today on this book called Regis, How I Got This Way by Regis Philbin. Regis Philbin is a very famous talk show host. And before reading the book, Regis came across as a very normal talk show host who would make a big deal out of trivial event that filled the time and did such a dramatic way. He really exaggerated a lot of the talk. And after reading this book, I came to appreciate his true talents. That he's in the book he mentioned that he's always doubtful of himself throughout his career. And like a good talk show host, he introduced his book to lots of people that I'm not familiar with, like Jack Parr, who happened to be a big-time Tonight Show host before Johnny Carson. And I had to watch a lot of the old YouTube videos to see what it's like. And he's truly a magnificent talk show host. And then the other person is Joey Bishop, is a talk show host who Regis was his sidekick in the Joey Bishop show, and competing with Johnny Carson on ABC Network. And Regis appeared to be not too crazy about Joey in the book, and because kind of Joey faced him. He's been a sidekick, and Joey forced him to pretend that he was quitting the show, walking out on the show to make a drama out of it, and and just essentially just get a manipulate to make it into a jump on the rating when Johnny Carson showed up in Los Angeles. But Regis was very appreciative of his when he was down and out, and when I look at some of his video at that time, he looked like a little boy in those days. And then the third person that I'm not familiar with is John Severino. He's a very revengeful boss who gave him a middle finger early in his career, and later offered him the live with Regis talk show in New York after he defected to ABC, and after they severed their relationship for a long time, and so there's an on and off type of relationship with John. So some facts that I learned from this book are Regis actually started the red carpet show on the Oscar night before anybody else, which became a very big event these days. And number two is there's a very accurate astrologist called Sidney Omar, who predicted his success in 20 years, which turned out to be true when he got his big gig, a New York talk show, more than 25 years ago. So he's been around for a long time. And number three is Jack Nicholson is such a private person, more than I thought that he would be. And he has never been interviewed before, except for this one time he actually phoned Regis to invite him to a Lakers game. So that was quite interesting. Number four is George Steinbrenner. Steinbrenner is very superstitious and caused him a lot of the bladder pain when he had to stay with George while the Yankees were going into the overtime and playing the game, and finally won the game. That was a very funny story. Number five, Dean Martin is someone that he literally worshiped and admired as someone that with so much talent and grace. And Dean worked with Jerry Lewis, and very spontaneous and great voice, singing voice, was still legendary. His last encounter with him, Regis' last encounter with Dean, was in a Beverly Hills restaurant. Something of a sad ending that he often reminisced. And number six, Regis had a lot of self-doubt in the beginning of his career because his perception of his lack of talents. After seeing Steve Allen really setting a very high bar, able to sing, playing music and playing pianos and being a talk show host. So that was quite interesting. And Regis has a very strong tie with his alma mater, Notre Dame, which is now to be, which seemed to bring him a lot of consolation and joys during his lull in his career. And number 8, Steven Spielberg was a young man who choked when interviewed by Regis at one time when he was 19-year-old in the studio. So that was kind of interesting. Then he actually came back and told him that after he became famous. Number 9, Howard Stern is such a gentle soul when you actually had to live right next to him as Regis did, and then had to share a same elevator. So that was kind of a very interesting story. And I like the fact that at the end of each chapter, he has a couple paragraph, what he called it, what he took away from it all. Very true and sometimes very funny. A couple of quotes are here. List a few quotes that you can read my blog. I think the one highlighted thing is that, and these are very encouraging, I think, to a lot of young people starting out in their career. So to specifically label what you do best is unfairly limit what you can do best. Just make sure you know what you absolutely cannot do, and don't be afraid to admit it. Very good advice. Number B is that go ahead and take a chance on doing surprising things at work, like he did with the story on piggy bank being stolen, being robbed, and make a very funny story out of it. And then the attention will be paid, and then there's no such thing as a lowly job when you started out in a particular business where you always dream of succeeding. Good advice on starting out. Great things can happen much later than you might hope, and even that great things are great, and always appreciating, don't give up. Good advice. Never stop saying thank you to the people who have made you the biggest difference in your life, and no matter how much it embarrassed them. He's referring to Jack Paar and Dean Martin and those people. And learn what you can from the old mistake, but don't dwell on them too long, or you may truly miss out on great opportunities. Okay? Loyalty to others tend to ensure that your loyalty will be always be returned in kind. And know how to take a ribbon, especially from people who obviously care about you, as well as those people do it for a living and mean you no harm. He's referring to Don Rickles. And it's really a compliment what they thought enough of you to talk about it in the public in the first place. And in business, think first with your head, and soon enough your heart will follow the same path. Okay? When difficult times arise, don't lose sight of how far you have already come and all the better time that you have helped sustain you along the way. And after a terrible setback, the true test of how you face the next day. After the true test is how you face the next day. Get up, show up, and I promise you're soon beginning to cheer up. So don't be afraid and a setback, and pick yourself up if you do, and get yourself near people who exude great enthusiasm and watch how it rubs off on you. So good advice hanging on about friendship. If you approach any task with perfection as your goal, you'll always bring you that much closer to truly achieving it. So do your best to achieve success and achieve perfection. To become big, you cannot be afraid to play big and to dream even bigger. Always keep self-doubt to yourself as best you can, and never buy into it for very long. So he's referring to himself, his own self-doubt. The bigger you build your dreams, the more likely you will take the heat from these detractors. Forget about the heat and just keep building. And then helping others will often than not help yourself and find a great sense of fulfillment. It's referring to Charles Grodin, who literally turned off all the movie deal to help the people who actually are serving sentence in injustice. Those who have shared the same health scares as you do eagerly comfort you along the way are the realest friends that you can find. He's referring to David Letterman, who they share the same open heart surgery, just I think a year apart. If you're lucky enough to find the right one, you'll know it, and just hang on for dear life, and dear life really. He's referring to his own wife, Joy Philbin. So here it is. I really enjoyed this memoir. Regis really is truly an icon who shared his life on live TV and shared his life lessons in this book. And I think he's quite a generous man, and really enjoyed reading the book. Okay, and also you can go and watch a lot of the YouTube video on those people who he mentioned in the book. All right, so this is a great book. I would highly recommend this book if you want interested in a lot of the TV characters and learn a great lessons out of it. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye now. This happened to be my wife's new flower arrangement, and did a very good job on this H-shaped flower vase, and the beautiful flower branches, and for this week. Hope you enjoy it. This is another flower arrangement by my daughter, guided by my wife's flower arrangement teacher. So, very bold and beautiful.